Welcome to the lounge, everybody. I'm back at it, putting in this work. So, by the title, because I was curious, right? So, these congestion prices, right? How does it work? This, that, and everything else like that, right? But they're leaving out a lot of stuff that, in my opinion, well, I don't think it's an opinion, but it can be taken as an opinion. But I think they're leaving out some things with this congestion pricing. So I looked into it, like like the prices, the peak times, who does it benefit, and it's like they're not telling us a lot. And I'm probably gonna put it on the internet community. Definitely the TikTok's loose. You, the CIA, FBI they ain't got shit on y'all. Y'all will find out. Y'all will find it out. But so first things first, right? So obviously, by the time of this recording, it has kicked in. It's like 9:50, something like that, and that's what Easy Pass. They probably got some undercut fee if there's no Easy Pass. Whatever. And then what already made me do one of these numbers, like, was the peak times. So during the week, the peak times is uh like five. What is it? 5 a.m. to 9 p.m. And on the weekends, the peak time is from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Right, Saturdays and Sundays. So it's kind of like it's going to be the same. And they say on the off peak time, which it seemed like doesn't seem that long, but I could be wrong with the schedule times. But it seems like the weekend they're getting more money than they are on a weekday. That's what it's looking like it's going to be. So I was like, that's already a red flag there. Cool, right? And then you got all your bridges and tunnels that, well, as far as the New York side, as far as like Brooklyn and Queens, what they did with the 59th Street Bridge was a little slick. So if you're on the top level, you're not going to get charged. If you're on the lower level, you're going to get charged. So that's some weird, goofy shit. And Brooklyn Bridge, you're going to run right into it. So now there's technically a toll on the Brooklyn Bridge. That's the way they got around it, right? Now, with that being said, that already puts two outer boroughs already at a disadvantage. And then now they talked about the Bronx, but they left out some things, right? So obviously people gonna do what people gonna do, especially New Yorkers. They're gonna try to avoid tolls at any cost. That means they're gonna take the long route, this, that. They're gonna finagle some other way. So a lot of the traffic is gonna be diverted to the Bronx, right? And they were talking about the air quality in the Bronx, which is already bad. And they also talk about the asthma, which, but most people don't know, the Bronx has the number one people cases in asthma in the United States of America, and that's also correlating with cockroaches and things like that. Like that's a little more deep dive. Like probably if you look up cockroaches and asthma and how that works, that'll break that down for you. But so everything's gonna be pretty much pushed through the Bronx. Like as far as traffic and things like that. And then with Jersey, right? Jersey try to put a stop to it because they already pay a toll at the tunnels and everything else like that, which means all the traffic is going to go to the GW Bridge, which is going to go right into the Bronx, right? So there's that. But then I really, as I'm watching different news reports and, trying to get information, I had a few questions. So So one of my questions was, who's actually benefiting with this money? Because according to what the news report is saying, what the governor, what she's saying, well, all these, the CEO of the MTA, all of them saying, oh, it's gonna make the subway and the bus system better and things like this, and better for the environment because it's congestion. Da 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 da. I was like, okay. So I did a quick Google search because my curiosity got the better of me. Because I always say, when a politician or lawmakers, when they make a policy, the first thing I want to do is see what companies they own, what companies going to benefit from it. So what they don't tell you is, number one, there are 23 members of the board on MTA. And each one of them, and I didn't get a chance to, because I just did a quick overview just to kind of get a gist. And majority of the members are on some type of environmental committee, which it could be a nothing burger, it could be a something burger, but it raised my eyebrows because I'm like, well, if they did all the studies that will better the environment in New York City and everything else like that, who conducted the study? Who came to the conclusion? How much was paid for these studies? That's my conspiracy theory. I would put on my tinfoil hat, but I'm in my New York vibe a little bit, so I'm rocking with this. But that's what I started thinking. I'm like, well, if these people are doing a study and they're getting paid to do the study, and these people on the board, it benefits them. And then you got the taxis and the Ubers, right? Obviously, they're going to absorb it through the customer. They're not going to pay it. Just like I talked in my previous video where people want fast food people to get paid $15, $20 an hour. It's not the company that absorbs these things. It's the consumer, right? So obviously that's the way that the taxi cabs and all that are going to be able to charge you more than they can, and they have a justifiable thing. But as I was watching news reports and stuff, London had it for 20 years, right? So I'm just watching, and it turned out within the 20 years they still have traffic. It hasn't changed anything. It's just that's just the way London gets their revenue. But they interviewed this guy, and he was saying, yeah, I used to pay so much congestion. It just made me move into the downtown area so I could save money from congestion. I said to myself, I think I'm starting to get the picture now. How all these people are. And like I said, we probably going to have to do more deep dive. But so obviously people been moving out of New York, period. Which means when people leave the state, they don't get the state taxes from the people leaving the state. So they got to get it back somehow. So, and obviously this area, a lot of people moving out the area because the rents are too high. Right? So since you're going to come into the area, they figure that's how they're going to subsidize, the vacated properties that nobody's paying for because things are too high. But if it's $9 a day, 5 days a week, I'm not doing the math right this second. Somebody do the math, but that's a pretty penny a year. Especially, so it's almost like a pay cut for people that work in that area. If you drive, it's essentially a pay cut. So I think, well, my conspiracy theory is that they're trying to get people to move back into New York City. I think that's what they're trying to do with the Jersey residents, because you have a lot of people that work in New York but live in Jersey. My opinion, there's nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Because New York be New Yorking. So that I don't blame them. But this is their way of trying to get people back. That's what I personally think what they're trying to do, because that's another Because people think, oh, well, if I move back, even though it's more in rent, I save money on congestion and this, that. And man, I'm just, like I said, when I saw the report, I was really side eyed. So I'm like, who's really benefiting from this? Like, there was even a report with a guy in a wheelchair. I forgot his name, and you know, I like what legacy media does, and you know, of course, you're gonna feel for them. Well, they said with the funds, they're gonna put more elevators and make it more accessible to people with disabilities, things like that. And you go, aw, you know, you do the aw. But then I had a question though, because people are going to try to avoid. Well, back up just slightly. As he's wheeling, right? This particular guy, he works for the MTA. I can't think of his name. I don't remember. It was earlier. As he's wheeling his wheelchair, people didn't even move out his way. Nothing, and that's before the congestion prices. So obviously, the whole point of the congestion prices is to get people to ride public transportation, which means there'll be more people in the people with the wheelchairs way. So you're really gonna have a hard time navigating through. So you know that it's like they want you to pay attention to words, but I was watching how he was barely able to navigate, and mind you, he had a camera crew following him. So New Yorkers is so, they have no situational awareness whatsoever. Like, you know, they probably had a whole camera crew and people still standing there on their phone doing whatever it is that they're doing. This guy's trying to will and explain how great it's going to be, that the monies are going to go for the disability people, but yet and still it's going to bring more people in, and the people with disabilities are going to have a harder time to move around in the subway system and everything else like that, right? And then you know, they talk about the public transportation. You look at the place in London, which I never been to London, so people that have been to London, you guys can probably sound off. I found it interesting. There's no homeless people on the subway. It would be the equivalent of subway system in London. Now, could they have done that for the report and for the cameras? You guys tell me. But I know in New York City, they got a whole bunch of homeless people and all that. And just like I said in my video yesterday, people, if you're gonna charge them a pretty penny, they're gonna they're gonna want quality. And that subway system ain't it. You got homeless people, you got crime, you got people getting barbecued, you getting people deleted out here. Like it's wild out here. It's like the Wild West. You know, so it's like, so you want to push more people into the situation where they don't feel safe, which doesn't make any sense. Which, you know, and people already jumped the turnstile and all that. So now the people that never even take the subway, now that's their way of circumventing the people that jumped the turnstile, is to charge the motorists. Because see, that's that little trick that they did. You know, because when you read who runs the MTA, the mayor has a say in it, the governor of New York has a say in it, and the MTA board has a say about it. So, combined with all of that, they, like I said, I didn't crunch the numbers because I'm just speaking, but you know, as far as looking at the numbers, I just find it very interesting that they allow a lot of people to jump the turnstile and all of this stuff, and I think the last time I took a train, I think the fare's $2.25. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember, but a lot of people be hopping a turnstile. They talk to the cops and be like, "Oh," with a Starbucks cup in their hand, talk about, "Oh, I don't have no money for no fare." Whatever, no judgment here. But now the people that never take the subway got to pay for the people that want to do that. You know what I mean? So they got to get their money somehow, some way. So, you know, like kind of, that's just my quick thoughts. I'm probably going to do a little more research on it, but I would definitely start looking at the MTA board and these environmental companies that they're a part of or on the board. Let's start looking at this at the stock numbers. You got to look at the people who were pushing it, and let's start pocket watching them. Now, I normally don't encourage pocket watching, but things like this, we need to watch the pockets and where the money truly goes. Because I guarantee you, when they say it's a billion, they're making more than a billion. That's just what they're telling you. Because we're not seeing the money behind. We're not seeing the money behind the scenes. We're not seeing the money on the back end. So, with that being said, I just wanted to give my quick thoughts on it. Probably more to come. But what say you? Like, comment, subscribe, and let's get to the bottom of this.